with one spectator in attendance.
True. Alright, so yeah, I guess I'll just start reading my speech. So, good afternoon, Melonians, Huns, other guests, and viewers from YouTube. Melonia has just lived through its biggest war in its entire history. This war, which is being called the Dazvani War, pitted the members of a Dazvani canton, Argentaburg, against the entire rest of the server. Melonia and Hyrnia fought side by side to ensure that Argentaburg could not rebel against the Hyrnish Empire. Argentaburg's citizens consisted of Mr. Osbam, also known as Hoxton, and his friends and acquaintances. You may recognize Mr. Osbam as someone we revoked the citizenship of, specifically because of his disrespect towards government officials and history of transphobic, racist, and pro-Nazi sentiment on his social media. He, as well as someone called Mr. Lexichomp, made plans behind the Hyrnish government's back to have Argentaburg secede from the Hyrnish Empire. Melonia and Hyrnia deemed an independent Argentaburg to be of extreme harm to the entire server, as the clique culture of Argentaburg was extremely toxic and a deterrent for new citizens of both Melonia and Hyrnia. So we collectively stationed our entire available military force outside of their fort and told them to integrate into Hyrnish culture, or we would attack them. What ensued was the most tense moment I've ever experienced on this server, as we awaited the Kaiser's order to attack while both sides were arguing in the chat. Eventually, the order came. The fighting was brutal, with high casualty counts on both sides, and once we had captured the fort, Argentaburg sent 2 combatants to Melonia with excessive amounts of TNT to bomb the city. After the war, the 2 terrorists dealt damage to civilian property to an extent that Melonia has never experienced before. The skyscraper in Higdon was completely leveled by explosives. The White Oak pub's entire stock of alcoholic beverages were destroyed in a TNT blast. Other bomb targets were the First Bank of Melonia and the Melonia Broadcasting Corporation. Worst of all, the historical home of the late Driznal was severely damaged by explosives. It is a crime to blow up important buildings in Melonia. It is a travesty fueled by scorn, meaningless hatred, and unfathomable disrespect to blow up the house of a dead man, especially one that both Melonians and Hurons hold in such high regard. Those responsible for the tragedy have been permanently banned from the server, and we will hope to never see them again. Good riddance. There were some on the Argentaburg side who actually defected to our side after the bulk of the fighting was over, namely Neolith and John R, who have been pardoned as they showed great care in helping us ultimately win and rebuild. As for statistics, on the side of Argentaburg there were 7 combatants. Against them there were 4 distinct groups: the Melonian Legion, the Hjörnebrad, which is the Hjörnish military, the Arhelinge, which is the Hjörnish police force, and the Consular Guard, which is the Valsolan police force. Combined, they totaled 12 combatants. Argentaburg suffered 10 casualties. The Melonian Legion suffered 10 casualties. The Hjörnebrad suffered 2 casualties. The combined forces of the Arhelinge and the Consular Guard suffered 2 casualties. In total, our side had 14 casualties. The Kaiser noted this performance to be unflattering but not quite Pyrrhic. In response to the terrorist attack on the Republic of Melonia, we will do what it takes to rebuild. The skyscraper is being replaced with a public memorial park honoring those who fought and struggled in the war. The roads, as well as the NBC building and the White Oak Pub building exterior have already been repaired. The government will also be repairing Driznal's house, no matter the cost. If you have any lost items, the government will do what it can to help you retrieve or replace them. We will recover. I will also be personally thanking every Melonian citizen who served during this war with medals in the form of custom image maps, as well as the 320 bonus medals I've already paid them. We could not have won this war without the determination of our soldiers to ensure ultimate victory. My gratitude and respect goes to all of the combatants on our side. I sincerely hope that this is the war that ends all wars. None of the combatants had any fun, and the property damage was horrible. On the bright side, the solidarity between Malonia and Hyrnia during the war has led us to be at the height of Hyrnish relations. Our alliance has never been stronger and more indisputable than during this war. This shall be an effective means of preventing any future wars. This war was bloody and callous, and we prevailed. Everybody can rest easy now that Osbam and his friends have been removed from the server. Now we must rebuild, and we must ensure that this doesn't happen again. We will be ensuring that the conditions that allowed for Argentaburg's toxic culture to thrive will not be replicated again. Du kosit Moronia, du kosit Hyrnia, but Vasun's Dazvan Plajabov did. Thank you, everyone. Now, before I leave, I will allow some time for the audience to ask questions about anything about the war that I didn't already cover.
I believe there was one other Dazvani citizen who was pardoned.
Oh yeah, who was it?
Lekat Borger, also known as Loon.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, but
I believe
it is
Lekat Borger is on like harsher terms because he was still an accomplice to the bombing.
Yes, he wasn't on an honorable return
Yeah,
compared to Neolith or
but
John.
he was still on a return.
Yes,
he
he was
still
still
realized it
given
was
the
wrong.
opportunity. Yes, he realized it was wrong, and he was given the opportunity to return. I would also like to clarify that I was actually contacted by Rexichump, who was one of the Dazvani bombers, who came to Melonia City and actually did most of the damage that Melonia saw. I believe that he joined a BC with me and others, and he actually said he was sorry for the unfortunate bombing of Drisnow's house, because he did not know that it was a dead man's home, but instead thought it was just a wealthy person's house and decided to just bomb it because it was a wealthy person instead, and not someone who was actually dead in real life, most to our misfortune.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
it makes what he did a little more understandable, but not any more forgivable. Any other
Yes.
questions?
I have one.
All right.
So the people that have been pardoned, will they be facing any consequences? And if so, what are those consequences?
So Neolith and John won't be facing consequences. I'm not sure as for the Cat Burger, because frankly I'm not the one to do the punishment. That would be the Hyunish Empire's thing.
Okay, thank you.
I think there is some plan to punish him or something like that, but I'm not sure and I don't want to say anything definitive.
Yes. Lastly, is the Melonia Legion considering installing some sort of badge medal to those who showed honorable conduct during the operation, or a participation medal, for example?
So far we're planning to give medals to all of the Melonian citizens who participated, but it can probably be extended to the Hyunish as well that participated.
I see. All right.
And yeah, I will consider that because yeah, as for the mallets, I can only really give that to the Melonians who participated because Hyrnia doesn't use the mallet as an official currency.
Uh-huh.
But for the
Right.
medals, there's really nothing stopping me, so yeah, I can extend it to the Hyunish who participated as well.
Got it.
Any other questions?
Um. Mr. President, what is your ultimate message to Melonia after this event?
Good question. Something to do with solidarity, man. we need
I
to.
see.
I mean, this war has showed us that we are absolutely able to unite towards a common goal. And we should definitely do so more often. Whether the goal being to quell an incoming rebellion or just like a positive thing for the community.
All right.
Like, as
I
much as
see.
we may disagree when it comes to politics or have it like our own like grievances and disputes against each other, we all have each other's backs.
Indeed. Thank you, Mr. President.
Assuming that is the last question, then thank you everyone for listening to my speech.